Well, hey there. Greetings, everyone. This is It's Covered, the Insurance Podcast, because if you think that insurance is boring, then you are not doing it properly. I am your host, Paul. Oh, man. I'm actually recording this. So if you're like keeping up with this as it's coming out, this is coming out on a Tuesday instead of a Monday because of Labor Day, and I did take the extra day to record. To I guess postpone recording just a little bit is it would be the honest way of putting that. But yeah, I did take that extra day to kind of think about things, and one of the reasons is because I was thinking about this topic, and it just it it really honestly it made me sad. It made me sad, and um, I, I took the extra time thinking it's like, okay, let me just pause and get a little bit more perspective on things, and just a little more time, and it still makes me sad, and it's not that huge of an occurrence. In fact, it's pretty darn minor in the scheme of things. It was just one of the claims I was handling in as an adjuster in claims. The person the person essentially, you know, I'll put it the way of this person stabbed his agent in the back, trying to get some advantage in the claim, and not not anything ridiculously underhanded. It was trying to get some coverage, saying that he did not know what was going on. He did not understand that the agent. He believed the agent told him one thing that was not true, um, and and so at the end, he comes to claims, and like with most cases, this is over. This is over rental. Um, it says, it's like, no, I did want rental. The agent did not explain to me what properly, et cetera, and so on. Now, most of these, end up just going by the wayside. It's really difficult for the customer to suggest that they wanted rental when they've gone many years without rental. Some cases where the policy is new, or if they do have some documentation, which very rarely happens, but they do have some documentation, then it produces like an E&O claim. This is not one of those cases. This is one of those cases where it's like, there are cases where I believe that there are genuine misunderstandings or actual errors in the policy, and then there are some cases where and sometimes it's as blatant as someone saying, no, I don't think I have rental. Wait, how long is the car going to be in the shop? I did try to add rental 3 days ago. And, it's just such obvious baloney. And I've seen this numerous times. And I don't know why this time affected me in this way. And I kind of take that back. I think I do know why. Because for those who've listened along, that I started off in claims as an adjuster, and then I went into the agency world, and then I came back to claims, and more and more as I went into different areas of insurance, especially in the agency's office, I began to see how people just in general not taking responsibility affects other people. and when it's something that we deal with on a daily basis, we sometimes forget that aspect of it, of how it actually affects people. But when I was in the agency and facing my own claims, and when I knew people were lying to me, and it did happen a couple of times in the years that I was an agent, not too many, but it did happen a couple of times, and I knew they were lying, and I had the documentation to prove that they were lying. Um, it had like just a whole different level of betrayal, and this is part of something that I've been thinking about in a larger context lately, and that is insurance in general causing us as a people to take less responsibility for ourselves? And I think it is. And I think that we as insurance professionals need to be conscious of that, and when we can combat that, to do so. But when we take the consequences of something and put it largely on somebody else, we we very often don't think that through on who that's affecting. And this manifests itself in a number of different ways. But the one I kind of wanted to start off with, and I do think we'll talk about this more. But the one I wanted to start off with is that little lie, otherwise known as insurance fraud, of course. Not that much is really done about a lot of these cases, because it's so hard to prove, and very oftentimes just not worth the time. But that little lie, the customer very often thinks it doesn't actually affect anyone. The customer often thinks that that's just the big corporation that makes billions of dollars can just okay, it's a few bucks. It's not worth anything to them. Just pay the rental. And besides which, I absolutely need a car. Of course, I didn't think about that when I was trying to protect myself in an accident. Then I was just trying to save myself money. And so I didn't get a rental that time, but I do need a car. I do need a car, and it's not fair that I don't have a car. And here's this nameless and faceless corporation that has built literally billions of dollars, literally billions of dollars. And the news says they're underpaying people, and quite possibly the adjusters are making, minimum wage or less. And they're not going to miss the money. And so I should just, say, no, I asked for that. I asked for that. Not realizing that's actually very often an E&O claim against the agent, which affects the agent's rates. And it actually brings about a lot more work, which it's not just the cost of that rental. It's the cost of investigation. It's the cost directly to the agent. It's the cost to the E&O company. It's the cost to the people working on the E&O company. It's the cost of the investigation in in your own insurance company. And all of these things put that burden that should be the customer on someone else. And it amazes me how easily people will do that. To the point of saying, No, I asked my agent to do that, knowing full well they did not. Knowing full well they did not. But I asked my agent to do that. And that dirty, rotten scoundrel refused. Just forgot. He's so incompetent. You know. That is how much your relationship with the customer is worth to the customer. Now we have to ask, how much is it worth to us? And it should be worth more than that. And this was a very tough part, in really making a decision about customers like this and how to proceed with that, because they were willing to throw me under the bus for a few bucks, which means they'd probably be willing to do that again. And so do I proceed in some way that will give double protection to myself in the future? Probably. I mean, my agency recorded all of our calls, but we weren't the best at keeping all of them. But customers like that, they had every single MP3 from those conversations in my file on them. Everything was just immaculately documented. But in general, no matter how you proceed from there, in general, I think we are called to value that relationship more than they value the relationship. I had a friend to me today saying, but one of the ways to approach being a good person is to act more like a Chick-fil-A employee and less like a Chick-fil-A customer. And that's absolutely true. And being in the service industry, that sort of dedication, that sort of commitment is very oftentimes going to be a one-way street. And it's not going to be returned. And it's not that loyalty is not going to be valued. But that doesn't mean that it should not be there. It doesn't mean that we should be, just being as flippant with the customer as they are with us. Because we are called to serve our neighbor in this industry. We are called to do our best for them. Very oftentimes they're not called to do business with us. They were required by law to do business with us, and it's one of those just very, very tedious things that the government requires us to do, and they don't want to do it. But that does not affect this industry that we have chosen, that is very often thankless and so very often underappreciated and taken advantage of. But it's still the industry that we've been brought into, that we've chosen, and it's the industry that we need to be wholeheartedly in. And that means taking care of our customers, watching out for them, even if they don't appreciate it. Now that transfers beyond ourselves, right? Because the person at the grocery store has been called to serve us, and they very often does not have that level of dedication. Um, I think we would all do better to just remember um, of you know essentially applying the golden rule in our business dealings and be the customer that we would hope to get in our own agency, because those customers who actually do, those rare unicorn customers that do appreciate us, are very, very easy to serve well. And the nice customer at the grocery store, at the haircut place, at the at the gas station, at the tax office. Um, I think we would do well to model that to others, um, and to not think of our industry as overly special in in our affliction. You know, if you want to know hard, you just pretty much go into any business that deals with the public and watch them deal with the public. And so in the same way that we do not want to be unduly burdened and hindered by customers, neither should we. Um, in the meantime, if no one else says it this week, I'll say it. That thank you for doing this. Thank you for going out and serving your neighbor in insurance. Thank you for for being out there and making sure that your customers are protected in a way that if something terrible happens to them, they will not lose everything. They will not, have to scrounge around for every dime just to, get a literal roof over their head again. But thank you for being there for them in those worst moments and preparing them in advance for those worst moments. We so often, no matter what side of the counter we're on, we so often forget that service not only, it's not only just nice to appreciate what others do for you, but it's necessary. And so, as somebody who's been in, just a number of thankless jobs, insurance being one of many, you know, um, thank you for that, and pass that on to somebody who is serving you well, and in that way, you stand out. In that way, you are achieving this incredible goal that we have for ourselves in this job and in this industry. So that's kind of my thoughts. That I like I said, I was a little bit surprised at how me just thinking about this affected me this time, and I think it has been a big on the receiving end of the E&O claim, or the coverage investigation, I should say, um, instead of just passing it off as something that it's just part of doing business, and so just whatever, click the button, start the investigation, move on with our lives, and so I wanted to pass that on. Um, besides this, I have been thinking more lately on taking more responsibility. And we're in an industry that we're in an industry that, I mean, quite honestly, I mean, what we do is we tell people, give the responsibility to us and put it on us instead of taking it yourself. And that has bled over in a number of different ways. And this is one of them. That, people don't stop to think, is like, how crazy is it that I just caused an accident? Possibly people got hurt. Property got ruined. How weird is it that if I'm in that situation and the first thought in my mind is, yeah, and they owe me a rental car too. That's really strange. But in a lot of ways, insurance has trained us for that, because we've never known a time where we had to pay for the damage ourselves. And that's been a problematic side effect of our industry, and one that I would like to see us make efforts to fix, to try to move things the other way, not in the way of, well, then don't just cancel your insurance, but to guide the customer in recognizing the severity of what's happened. And that also has the bonus of reminding customers of the links that we're going to make things right, which is another thing that is sorely lacking in claims. But we'll keep talking about that, because this is something that really interested me. So in the meantime, I've gone a little bit longer than I expected, so I do appreciate you listening in. This is a short week. If you are listening to this as it comes out, short week. So I hope you had a great weekend with your family. I hope you're rested up and you're ready to go. There's a lot of work to be done this week, and you're probably not going to get a thank you, except the one that I've given you. And so, a lot of times we've got to give that motivation to ourselves, and that's one of the reasons I'm here, to remind you of that and to hopefully help you along. But I do hope that you have a great week, and we will see you next time. See ya.